Ta-da! So welcome. Today I want to talk to you about one of the first themes that I'm dealing with my coaching group, and the first one is know thyself. Such a basic foundational subject, right? It's kind of like, how do you want to learn and know the world when you don't even know yourself? So we are starting that journey on to self-discovery, to reconnecting to who we are, and getting used to having different tools that can assist us with that. And the first element that we're looking at is names. You know, I've made a series about names. I've spoken about names before. I've also encouraged people to not just jump off by throwing your name away thinking you're gonna just get rid of it like that. It's thinking that the energy of that name is not gonna follow you and carry you, especially if you had that name for 30, 20 or whatever years. Sometimes just even an initiation ceremony is not gonna wipe away all of the energetic baggage that you have with it. You have to change yourself if you want to embrace another name. But I will encourage you not to run away from the name that you have, from the name that's been given to you, from the name that you even chose before coming here. So just find out what that name means. Whether it is an American name, and please stop this language discussion. This is not to talk about the slave master and what the slave master done and blah blah blah. The point is, from the perspective of African spirituality, you choose who your parents are going to be. You choose where you want to be born in the on the globe, and you choose that name. And that name, you've received that name for a purpose. That name serves a purpose. And so it's too easy to just dismiss it and say, oh, that's the slave master's name. So how come all of you don't have the same name? Okay, so this is not that kind of discussion. This is really for you. The name that you do have is a gift, and it's up to you to use it as a gift or to think that it is a curse. That's your choice. It's no one else's. No one is cursing you with that name. And the proof of that is that you can see so many people with all kinds of names who have accomplished amazing things. Just to let you know that it's not the name that makes you, you make the name. Okay, and if you really search for that name and you understand what is behind it, you understand who had that name before you, and you dislike that or that is not your path, then you can work in changing yourself so that you can get out of that vibration and choose another name and you have another name. Okay, I think it's really important to take that step and understand that, beloved, you were not born and you are not attached in a specific place unless that's your purpose and that's your path. Otherwise, the entire world is your home, and people who look like you live all over the world, and they have different names depending on where they live. They have a different way of life. So please take the time to look at your name and to see how you can get inspiration from that name, from other people also who share the same name, first name or last name. Inspiration can be found anywhere. So that's just one way that you can get it. And I'll encourage you on that path. When I came to the United States when I was undergrad doing law, I took as a freshman, I took an Afro-American history class just because I was curious. I wanted to learn, I wanted to know. And one of the characters that I came across through that class was Ida B. Wells. You know, my name is my first name, as if you go back to many videos, Ida. One of my first names, because I have many. And so when I saw that character, Ida B. Wells, you know, in English, Ida B. Wells, it intrigued me. You know, you're looking through books or whatever, and you have it to do like we had to do, I think, a paper term or something like that. But I came across that name and I was intrigued. I took that book out and I started reading just the back cover and saying she did legal studies. And so something just pulled me, and I went out and I bought her autobiography. I bought a couple of her works, and it fascinated me. And I find it so interesting. I said we share the same name, we are studying the same thing. It's kind of like a parallel mutual thing where she became sort of a muse for me. You know, in the long, steady nights that I had to do throughout law school or even during my undergraduate law studies, I looked at her, I said, she did it. This is not that hard, I can do it. She was a source of inspiration to me. I wasn't talking about saying Ida B. Wells, those are like European names, or those are names that are not from her culture, blah blah blah. No, I look at what she did with that name. How did she use that name? What energy did she put in that? that carries that name all up in all of those centuries, so that I can just come and find and be inspired by her and by what she accomplished, to be inspired by her purpose and her path. It doesn't mean I'm going to be on the same exact path, but it means that we have characteristics, we have sources and people who came before us all over the globe to inspire us. Not to have that kind of victim mentality. You know, step away from that. I invite you to just step away from being a victim, because your power does not reside in you thinking that the world is against you, or thinking that there's nothing that you can do to make your life a pleasurable experience. You know, even when you look at the slaves, you know, you look at certain slaves and you look at their narrative. They were not mopping around talking about, you know, hey, this and that is happening. If they were putting around, it was to think about how they were going to do about their own future. The names that we have, the names that the people that did something so amazing, that their story was carried through. Their story was a source of inspiration to others. And I say this not just for you to get inspired by, you know, celebrities or historic figures, but to look around you, people who share the same first name as you, or share the same last name. They can be just people, everyday people. The person at the coffee shop that serve the same last name. You know, sometimes when you go to Starbucks and they ask you for your first name, and then you're on the line, and I often get this. I say my name, and then either the person, especially if it's a man, the person really is like, hello, Ida, how are you? So it's kind of also a way for you to just connect with people. And not be that Grinch talking about somebody says hello to you just because they overheard your name and say hello to you with your name, and you start being offended. There's nothing offensive about that. It's a matter of connecting. We're here to connect with one another. We're not here to fight each other all the time. We're not even here to fight. Actually, I'll leave the fighting to someone else. Okay? So look at those opportunities as opportunities for you to connect. Opportunities to make your experience better, to make your experience so much more pleasurable. That's the whole point. Don't you had enough of suffering? Don't you had enough of anxiety? And don't you see that the more you focus on all this stuff, the more anxiety you're going to feel? Those are really opportunities for you to feel better, to move away from that. And don't worry, I'm making a series of videos. Today I have some time. Today I have time. So I'm going to be making a few videos today to assist you and to share with you. And I hope that all of that will be useful. So take the time to understand what your name means. You know, there's a big movement into looking at, Egyptian names, ancient Egyptian names. How many people call Ra, Chehudi, and all those different stuff. Just because they listen to what the story of the person is, and they're inspired by that story. They want to embody that story. But to me, I'm saying those names were names from back in the days, and before those names there were other names as well. So it's like to each generation its own. I understand that some people need to go back in order to replenish themselves, to resource themselves, and that's wonderful. And please do that if you need to. But some of us don't. Some of them need to be in the present. Some of them don't need to escape. Some of them don't need to go and live in the past. You need to be in the present. You need to see what precious names, what precious offering you were given, and make the best out of that. You know, by sometimes always focusing on the past, you started feeling bad about the present and your future. You know, you started devaluing the name that was given to you, which represented a grandfather or a father who did amazing and great things that you don't even know about because you don't care. Sometimes you care about things that happened like millions of years ago, instead of caring about also the generation that were 2 or 3 generations down from you, or 4. You know, the connection between you can make a whole leap to 2 million years back without also trying to connect. How do you fit in that? What is your legacy? So I hope this was useful and that you take your time to learn more about your name. Thank you for being with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.